Hello, and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports. And the Sweet 16 has come and gone, and that gives way. 8 teams are left. We have the Elite 8 come on up, and we are going to give predictions. The Sweet 16 was an exciting round, lots of good games, some not so good, though. But we'll get into all of that nonetheless. So, Tim, are you ready to run it, good sir?
Let's run it.
I hear the reluctance in your voice.
Got to run it regardless.
You got to run it regardless. Before we get into our Elite 8 picks, let's run over how we did. In the Sweet 16, yours truly went 4-4. Tim, you went 3-5, which just proves how wild this round was. A lot of games where we thought the outcome went one way. No, it went a completely different way. But regardless, that brings my total record to 40-16. Tim, you are 4 games back at 36-20. Still not a bad record, but
no, not by any means. But I had the opportunity to gain some ground and then lost some ground while also gaining just a little bit. But it's just kind of how the game goes some days.
Well, it's how the cookie crumbles. But now that we have that out of the way, let's predict the Elite 8 games. The first game we got is Arkansas and Duke. Arkansas got here by defeating Gonzaga 74-68. Arkansas had a fantastic defensive game plan, and they were able to shut down Chet Holmgren and Andrew Nembhard. They made their lives miserable for Gonzaga. Eric Musselman, the must bus, moves on right into the Elite 8. And on the other side, Duke, they stunned Texas Tech in an upset victory because we both picked Texas Tech. It seemed like Texas Tech was
the favored team as well
in that game.
Yeah.
But Duke came away with the win 78-73. And what really punctuated that victory was the final stretch for Duke, where they shot 71% from the field in the second half and made all of their last 7 free throws. Texas Tech, they led most of the way, but Duke played a near perfect basketball game at the end, and that led to their victory.
Yeah, I mean, you had two very good games, obviously, with the Arkansas one. Like you said, Arkansas had a very good game plan, but one of the things that I think was most notable, especially about the situation with Chet Holmgren, was the fact that he got called for a couple of fouls that definitely were a bit controversial down the stretch, and that's what led to him getting fouled out. And I think it definitely could have been a very different game if he was able to stay in. But granted, Arkansas knew what they wanted to do, and they attacked him when he was in foul trouble. On the other hand, you got Duke and Texas Tech, where that game was just incredible back and forth the whole way. You got two coaches that are,
if you will.
Yeah, you had 2 coaches that were pulling everything out of the hat that they could to try to mess the other team up. You even saw Coach K go to a zone there for a little bit, which is something that is very anti-Coach K. But they did what they needed to do, and like you said, they played really well in the second half there. So you've seen a Duke basketball team that is starting to look like that they're starting to figure out some of how to play in the month of March and playing their best basketball at the right time.
Yeah, it was definitely that chess match that you saw that we had talked about in the Sweet 16 predictions video between Mark Adams and Mike Krzyzewski, where 2 really good minds, and Coach K, he adapted and, like you said, went to some tactics that he doesn't normally use, like going to a zone, which is very anti-Coach K. It was like, wait, is Duke playing a zone? It worked
for a little bit, but until Texas Tech started figuring it out a little bit, and then they started switching back and forth trying to mess them up.
But that's all right. Duke is moving on to the Elite 8 to face Arkansas. And who I have in this game, I am going to go with the Duke Blue Devils. I think Coach K makes it to the Final Four in his last dance because they passed their biggest test against Texas Tech. I think that has been the toughest game and toughest opponent that they have played so far and will play. They have the coaching. They have the guys for a Final Four team. I think Duke will barely squeak by Arkansas. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I got the Blue Devils.
Yeah, this will be another one that'll be very back and forth and offensive star heavy in the second half as things go down to the wire. But one of the things that I saw in this previous round, and you'll see it all the way throughout the month of March, is the fact that defense is really what comes down and wins these games. And I really like what Arkansas has been able to do on the defensive end. And I think that you'll see a bit of a bounce back game from a very poor performance, in my opinion, at least also decision making wise in some ways from JD Note of Arkansas. He took a lot of ill-advised shots trying to shoot himself back into a rhythm. But I think he'll get a lot more under control. And I think the defense of Arkansas will actually be able to edge out Duke. So I've got the Razorbacks heading to a Final Four.
Well, both of these teams are very, very good, very, very skilled, very, very talented. So this one is very much anyone's game. But then we'll go to the next game where we have Houston and Villanova. Houston got here by handily beating
tough.
Arizona 72-60. We all overlooked Houston, but they were playing in San Antonio. It was almost like a home game for them. I don't know how we looked past that, but we did. Kelvin Sampson's elite coaching made all the difference in the world, and he looks like the best coach in college basketball right now, or one of, so to speak. And Villanova, they got by the Michigan Wolverines 63-55. Michigan couldn't get anything going anywhere. They shot 34% from the field, and they were 7-14. That's 50% from the free throw stripe. They definitely left a couple points on the board. Villanova was able to make the right plays at the right time and keep Michigan at bay enough for the victory.
Yeah, first of all, starting off at that Houston Arizona game, I mean, Houston definitely knew what they wanted to do coming into it, and it was to limit the stars and the guys that really are the motor of that fast paced offense for Arizona. And you saw that Benedict Mathurin was just, he couldn't really get anything going for most of the game. Now, granted, he ended up with 15 on the game, but most of those came in the second half, just trying to get anything on the board late. And they did a very good job of limiting Christian Coloco as well. So that defense combined with, I would say, much improved shooting from that Houston team was what was able to give them enough of that offense to really stretch and extend that lead. And I mean, for Villanova, Michigan, I think it's the same thing that we see out of Villanova a lot. They don't necessarily thrash teams and put a beating on teams, but they know what they need to do to beat teams, and it's limit their stars in as much as they can to sort of throw them off guard. And then they're just a very disciplined team on offense. They don't often take bad shots. They don't often turn the ball over, and they shoot their free throws really well. And I think that's really important to get Villanova to where they are now, and they're a very well put together team under Jay Wright.
Well, good, well-coached teams is a common theme that you'll see, especially with 8 teams left. It was the theme in the last matchup, Arkansas and Duke, with Eric Musselman and Coach K. Now you got Kelvin Sampson and Jay Wright, 2 very good coaches that will have their teams ready to play. And in my eyes, this game is kind of a coin flip. I'm trying to make heads or tails of who's going to win, but this game is still in San Antonio. That Houston crowd, they travel well. They will show up in full force. We overlooked the home crowd last round, but I'm not going to do it this time. And of course, that's not going to be the end all be all, but
well, yeah,
it
certainly helps.
It does certainly help. And in a game like this, where every little thing helps, every little advantage that you're trying to get helps, I'm going to take Houston in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a toss up because Houston has proven that they very much belong here after a little bit of some iffy doubts heading into the tournament and whatnot. They have definitely started playing a lot of their best basketball, and they're obviously very well coached, as you put. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really like this Villanova team. They're extremely well disciplined, led by guys like Colin Gillespie, who I did notice had a little bit of a tweak of that same knee that he had injured previously in the game against Michigan, but he continued to play and seemed to be all right. I believe his status going into this next round will be at least pretty close to 100% healthy. And I like the discipline that this Villanova team has. I think it'll be obviously a very close game. And as we've seen just how much free throws can be huge down the stretch for all of these teams. Villanova is one of the best in the country when it comes to free throw shooting. So I'm going to take Jay Wright and Villanova here to move on to the Final Four.
Well, we're halfway done and down 4. You're definitely taking advantage to make up some ground on me. So we'll see how those play out as we differ in the first 2 games. We got 2 more left, the next of which is Kansas and Miami. Who thought that a 10 seed Miami was going to be here?
I mean,
they defeated Iowa State 70-56 in what was a pretty convincing game, although it was pretty sloppy overall. Iowa State, they were overachieving a bit. Miami proved to be the better team, and where both teams really didn't play that well, Miami proved just head and shoulders the better team. They were able to, survive and advance to their first ever Elite 8 in school history. So congrats to the Hurricanes. On the other side, Kansas and Providence. Kansas came away with that victory 66-61. A big part of that was Remy Martin's emergence. That was huge off of the bench. I mean, Providence fought valiantly. They overcame a large deficit in the second half, but the Jayhawks were able to just outlast the Friars. They ran out of time, and Providence's season comes to an end, and Kansas moves on to face the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, two very interesting games here. Obviously, like you said, with Kansas Providence, not exactly the most pretty game. Neither team shot the ball well from 3, but like Remy Martin off the bench was absolutely massive for Kansas when they really couldn't get Ochai Agbaji going on the offensive end really much throughout the game. And at the end of the day, they did what they needed to win. It wasn't particularly a pretty one, but they grinded it out. And I think that's really what it takes to be one of the best teams in the country. And they proved that they very much still belong in that conversation there. And of course, on the other side, like you said, Miami proved just to be the better team in this one. They were more solid throughout. They shot the ball better. Their guard play was just really solid. And we've known that that's obviously one of Miami's strengths in terms of matching up with pretty much any team in this.
It's arguably their biggest strength as they run that small ball lineup, 4 guards and Sam Wardenberg, who is a stretch 4 and can kill you from outside. He had a couple threes in that Iowa State game, but like you said, the guard play of this Miami team is really something special.
Yeah, and it obviously makes them very unique and very hard to guard for a lot of teams that go a more traditional route in their 5 guys. So it offers a very interesting matchup for Kansas and Miami in this Elite 8 round, because it's once again a bit of a more traditional 5-man roster coming from Kansas, matching up with the very unique nature of the Hurricanes.
Yeah, so for this matchup, Miami, they've had a great run. They've played some excellent basketball in this tournament. Congratulations to them. First Elite 8 in school history. You got to give some credit there. However, Kansas, they just have the making of a champion. They've been playing out of their minds. Don't get me wrong. I love my Canes. There's something special to this team. Would it be the craziest thing if Miami came away with an upset over Kansas? Stranger things have happened in this tournament, so it wouldn't completely shock me, as quite frankly, nothing shocks me in March anymore. But Kansas is playing their best basketball right now. I got the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly the Kansas coming off of not one of their prettier games, but once again, like we've said before, it almost gives you a little bit more confidence in them that they can grind through a game that really isn't going their way in some of their more traditional senses, especially with some of their main scorers, and to get that scoring off the bench really helps boost overall team confidence that you can score with guys pretty much around the horn. And then for Miami, obviously, they've been playing really, really good basketball, and I don't expect that to stop in this round. I expect it to be a very tough game just because of the matchups. But I can't sway away from Kansas in this one. I think they're obviously, no disrespect to Miami whatsoever, but Bill Self is a very good coach, and he's going to put them in a good position to win. It's just a matter of if guys can step up in the right way, and if they can put a little bit of a damper on some of Miami's unique offense. But I think Kansas is going to come away with this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have definitely put some respect on the name of the Miami Hurricanes, the way they've been playing, the style that they've been doing it. the offense that they run, the
It's hard to
lineup that they
guard.
go with, and the defense that has been so critical. They force turnovers like nobody's business. But this Bill Self-led Kansas team is just looking like a juggernaut. So we're both on the same page there where we got Kansas. And we got one more matchup where North Carolina is taking on,
What
guess
a
what?
region.
The St. Peter's Peacocks.
8v15.
St.
Elite Eight matchup.
Peter's. St. Peter's is the first ever 15 seed to make it to the Elite Eight. North Carolina defeated UCLA to get to this point, 71-66. It was neck and neck the whole way until North Carolina pulled away with a 10-2 run to seal the game. It was a fantastic game. And on the other side, Purdue and St. Peter's. I won't say anything just yet. And Tim, I know you have a lot of thoughts on that game, but we'll get to that. But we have a whole separate video coming just on the Purdue St. Peter's game. Tim, you will have your chance to air out whatever's on your mind. But let's get to the prediction of this game. You want to go first, Tim?
Sure. I mean, it's obviously a very, very unique matchup in the sense of obviously the roads for both of these teams to get there, but not also the individual matchups and players that they have, because you have North Carolina, who's obviously been playing very, very, very good basketball lately, arguably a lot better than we saw throughout a large portion of the year, with a really strong performance, especially in this past game, out of their starting lineup. They haven't really gone much into their bench unless they really need to in foul trouble, but they pretty much have gone by the mantra of, we're going to send our 5 best guys out there, keep them as long as they can. They're conditioned to play those minutes. And if you can beat our 5 best guys with your guys, by all means, go ahead. But then, of course, you got St. Peter's, who has made their miracle run to this point based on their defense and very unique offensive play calling, causing turnovers, getting out on fast breaks, and really just overall tough, gritty play. But like you said before, don't be a fan later. And I won't be, because I'm going to take North Carolina.
If I'm
going to live and die by the Peacocks, I'm going to continue to die.
Fair enough.
So
I respect the hell out of
our
that.
heels moving on.
Well, you are a stubborn lad, but so am I, because guess what? I am wearing the shirt.
Here we go again.
I'm going to ride them until they lose. They made it past Kentucky. They made it past Purdue. Who's going to stop this team? North Carolina? Nah. Coaching? Check. Shaheen Holloway is a hell of a coach. He has led St. Peter's all this way to the Elite Eight. Defense? Check. Oscar Tshiebwe, Kentucky? No problem. Murray State's high-flying offense? Nah. Who's stopping Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, and Zach Edey? The St. Peter's Peacocks, that's who. And offense, Dougie Buckets, Daryl Banks. They got dudes upon dudes upon dudes. They got it all.
To be fair, Dougie Buckets did very little outside of the free throw line from this past game.
No, we're going to get to that. Well, guess what? They got other guys that can step up. When Dougie Buckets doesn't answer the bell, they got other guys. And that's why St. Peter's is moving on to the Final Four. And you can book that, good sir. St. Peter's all the way.
At this point, I'm pretty sure you should just be starting a new religion at this point.
What would we call that religion?
That's up to you, not me. I will not be taking any part in this cult festivities.
And that is why you continue to lose, good sir, because I pick the future national champion St. Peter's Peacocks. The first 15 seed to make the Elite Eight will be the first 15 seed to make the Final Four. And that you can book.
Remains to be seen.
But that is all we got for another electric episode of our March Madness predictions. We have predicted the whole way, and we are going to continue to predict the rest of the way. We got lots more stuff coming for you. So if you want to go watch our other stuff, go for it. Your viewership and listening is greatly appreciated. We love you all. But until next time, for Running the Table, we out.